let's uh, let's go ahead and start. My name is Steve Newell. I'm joined by Brandon Bedeen, who is a client solutions engineer with SingleComm. And today we're going to be talking about agent screen capture and screen recording. Um, so just our agenda today, we've already made the introductions. Brandon's going to be leading us today and showing us how it works and also how to use it for quality assurance purposes. And we're going to talk about the benefits of screen recording, and and Brandon's going to demo the screen capture and recording. And if you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A box, and we will have some time at the end to go over any kind of questions that you have, and then we'll talk about the next webinar. So the benefits of screen capture, screen recording, it's obviously it's very, very valuable to have voice recordings to find out how your agents are doing, how they're handling the clients, ways that they can improve. But adding screen capture into the equation, having both the screen capture and the recording together really gives you a whole lot more insight into the agent experience and gives you some great training tools. Helps you ensure compliance. There may be some clients that you have that require that you record the screen so that they can monitor. So this gives you the opportunity to capture those clients as well. It also gives the opportunity to target possible points of failure in the call journey. So if you're going through and you seem to one particular journey seems to take longer than others, you can go ahead and watch the screen and maybe you'll get insights about how the agents confused, or if there were a better layout or more logical layout, they would be able to handle the call more efficiently. It also gives you the ability to take your best agents and take screen captures of their how they work and basically use them as your standards and create best practices for all of your other agents. Now, the other very powerful tool, especially in the past couple of years, it enables us to support remote agents and enhance their training and development. That's very difficult, as we know. It makes it more difficult when they're home, so this is going to be a tremendous tool for that. You'll be able to record multiple agent screens, which Brandon will show. And also, when you get into the omni-channel communications, it gives you a lot of times these omni-channel communications are they're not scripted as much as a regular phone call, and so it enables you to really see how the agent is performing and give some advice and training on how to get better. But right now, I'm going to hand it over to Brandon, and he's going to show us the SingleComm screen recording and screen capture tool.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. Take a moment here to take over the screens. All right, you should be able to see my call screen now. This is a view as if I am an agent. When an agent signs in, this is what they would see. They'd be in an offline status. Before they perform any work, they'd be asked to go available. I already did that. I'm sorry, 1 second. I had already done that when talking with Steve. So if I go back in as an agent, and I hit available. Now it's going to ask me, you should be able to see the pop-up to go ahead and share my screens before they do any work for their shift. We're going to say yes, we're going to record screen 1, and it's immediately going to ask me because it's detected that there are 2 screens. I'll have to share screen 2 as well. Now it lets me go available, at which point the sessions begin. So I'm going to go ahead and simulate a phone call. Call is going to come in. Quickly mute so we don't get any background. As we go through, the script will load. My apologies. I am out in the sticks of Maine and we are having a storm, so I do have a bit of a rough internet connection when video sharing to load everything. It typically does not take this long. There we go. So now you have your agent, right? They're on the phone call, as you can see, with their particular customer. They're going to start to work through their scripting as they get through, put in some information here. You're going to see my mouse or my cursor disappear. This is where I'm going to move on to my second screen at this point. I'm just going to kind of move my Zoom box around, which we'll be able to see in the recording like I was working within a CRM. And then I'm going to come back over here and we'll say that the call has been finished, and we're going to go ahead and disposition that phone call. And the phone call has been completed. The script is done, so we're going to hang up. And we'll go back in like I was a supervisor. Real quick, we're going to come down into our call log. And we'll find the call that we have available that we just did. Underneath the agents, you're going to be able to see that there's also a voice recording, and then you'll see this little monitor. The little monitor is the screen recording. We'll go ahead and access the screen recording, and we can pick a screen to play. So that's screen 2. This is screen 1 where it was the agent. The other end of this is very quickly available from your call log. However, as Steve mentioned, we're going to talk about quality assurance. So with our built-in quality assurance model, you can come back in and manage your audit queues. Piece of it. And up under here, the first one, we're going to just take a quick look at it, and it's a regular call. So you'll notice that you have your call recording up in here. You can adjust your playback rate, etc. That's what it looks like if it's a normal phone call. But what we did was screen record our particular phone call. So we're going to come down in here and we're going to monitor that. And you're going to notice instead of a regular call, you actually have 2 screens. So you can monitor each individual screen. You can take that as a pop out. Once the pop out is down, you can actually adjust that so that you can move it around within your screen so you can see it a little bit larger. Once you come down, as it's playing, you can actually move into a scorecard. Adjust this a little bit so you can see the whole scorecard. And as you're watching the screen recording, you could change back and forth between each individual one that you wanted to, as well as be actually doing a QA on that particular phone call with a scorecard. So again, this kind of, plays into making sure that the agents don't have anything, non-compliant going on their screens when they're doing client work. It allows you to be able to kind of see best practices as they're working through individual, call and client cases, and gives a much better, clearer picture of what's going on versus a simple call recording. That is our screen recording and how it all operates. So if there are any additional questions, we can go ahead and do a Q&A.
Brendan, one question. Can you talk about the difference between screen capture and screen recording? What's the pros and cons of that? What's the difference in pros and cons?
Screen capture is capturing pictures of the screen at individual time rates and frames, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you may be missing interactions versus the actual screen recording. You're recording the actual audio and every movement of the agent at one particular time. So it really gives you a much more clear picture of everything that's going on with your agent's interaction with their customer.
Okay, and so if you were just to do screenshots maybe every 2 seconds or 3 seconds or whatever, you would forfeit the having the video or the audio track alongside with it, or is that?
I'm sure that we could play them together, but it wouldn't be a very seamless journey if to watch random still screenshots in correlation with a recording.
Okay. And what are some of the requirements of the for the agent PC or laptop or Chromebook or whatever?
From my former BPO, we typically looked for anywhere from 10 to 10 to 12 gigabytes of RAM, your most up-to-date processor. And other than that, it's really just the Google Chrome browser is preferred as we utilize WebRTC. There's no use of a secondary programming or soft phone. Everything's done directly through that Google Chrome browser.
Okay, and I actually tested this. I have a number of Chromebooks. I bought one years ago, and I realized that it wouldn't work because my Chromebook is old, so old that it won't have it doesn't get any of those updated upgrades like my new Chromebook, and so it won't work. So I think we need to make sure people know that, especially remote agents, need to have a Chromebook that's able to be updated and keep the browser in compliance.
You're not wrong in any stretch of the means, and I'll keep my personal opinions about not purchasing Chromebooks to myself. For that very reason, Steve.
Okay.
But you are
Um,
correct. If a Chromebook was going to be used, it would need to be one of the newer, most up-to-date models because eventually they do stop updating.
right. Okay, we have another question. It appeared that the agent had to give the permission to record when going available. Do they have to do that every time they go available or just once?
So, Shelly, the answer to that question would be if they're going into an offline status, along those lines, or coming out of SingleComm, going back in, they would, but not every time they take a phone call. So, if they're simply going through and they are working and they, disposition a phone call and they go back into an available state, no, they would not need to do that. If they did sign out or they went into an offline, they would need to give permission again. That's kind of why you saw me at the beginning of the recording have to go out of my agent module and then back in, just because Steve and I were kind of going through things to make sure the screen share was working properly with Zoom. And I had already given it permission while I was available.
Okay. Any other questions while we have Brandon here? He's an expert at it, and Brandon has a lot of experience actually managing call centers. So he uh, he's had to basically use these tools to manage his own group. Any other as far as compliance, who would be asking? Is there any particular kind of vertical that would require screen recording compliance?
Finance, medical.
Mhm.
Those are probably the two big ones right off the top of my head. I'm sure there are other ones that would be included. Probably any governmental or state work may require it as well. I'm very glad that we have this tool available to us now. To be able to extend to customers, particularly in the environment we're in, where a majority of our agents are remote workforce at this point. It was much easier to talk about compliancy and keep agents compliant when my supervisors could walk the call floor and walk up and down the agent aisles and see the computers. Now we really don't have that. So having the ability to screen record, especially with our clients going out, looking for new business, et cetera, and some of the new requirements, I think it's a great tool and has a lot of power behind it.
Now, I see, I mean, I look at a lot of different, platforms for what I do. And, you see all the time, oh, we have screen recording, we have screen recording. Are there differences between the screen recording that's now available inside the SingleComm and some of the other screen recording products out there?
To date, and I think I've answered this question previously with one of my other clients. The previous screen recordings that I've seen from some of the other platforms out there are just recordings of the screen. They don't currently have the audio and the screen recording playing in one. You have to play those separately or watch one versus the other, where we have put it together and it's coming in a seamless package. So there really is no need to have to go into two separate places. That's also why it really works very well integrated with our QA module as well, because the screen recording as well as the recording are all playing simultaneously.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, I think that's a big feature, and it's nice to be able to kind of track the call and do the scorecard at the same time. That's a nice, it's all integrated into one. That's really nice. Any other, my takeaway as far as requirements is you've got to have a good internet connection to be able to record these screens. Is there any difference between the bandwidth to record one screen or two screens, or is it pretty much once you turn screen recording on, it just, you just need
It's
that
pretty
down?
much the same thing as long as you're running a good connection. I do recommend it, and we do say it is best practice to be hardwired. So whether it's a desktop or a laptop, or I run a Mac, so I have an adapter to allow me to plug in to be hardwired. As long as you're hardwired, and it's a good internet connection, you're fine.
Okay.
No problems at all.
So if someone were on the SingleComm platform right now and they wanted to start deploying this, what's the procedure?
Reach out to your account executive. You guys can begin conversations, and it would be an addendum into your contract. Marcus, I see your question. How long are the screen recordings kept available for? Review or download? That's entirely up to you as a client. There is typically, when you do agree to your contract terms in there for how long we're going to store those recordings. The screen recordings fall under the same guise. So if you need us to keep them or keep them for you for 3 years to 7 or 10 years, I mean, that's all, adjustable and, per client basis.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we know that the video recording is going to be, there's a bigger storage consideration than voice calls. Obviously, voice call is going to be much smaller storage wise than video calls. But so you may want to kind of know that going into, thinking how long am I going to keep these recordings? So. Uh, Anything else that, as far as the remote agents, is there any kind of gotchas as far as, I mean, it's really just bandwidth and having your browser up to date if you're on whatever machine you're on. But other than that, any other requirements?
No, not really. We try to make it as easy as possible for our clients and their staff.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I don't see any more questions coming in, and that's all the questions that I have. Thank you for that information. Let me go ahead and share my screen once again. And let's go back to, so again, if you want to begin using screen recording right away, please contact Scott Swanson or your account executive. And if you're not a client yet and you want to learn more, contact Scott Swanson to schedule a meeting. And then our next webinar is going to be March 27th, Wednesday, March 27th, same time, 1 o'clock Eastern. And it's going to be on the single chat agentless chatbot. And you'll be very, very excited about that. It's just a great way to handle a lot of calls without actually having an agent, and does the same results. So you'll really enjoy that one. So we'll be sending the recording of this out tomorrow with a link to the next webinar. And so Brandon, thank you so much for showing us the product today. Thanks for all of your questions, everyone. And I look forward to seeing you next time.